have a beautiful day here to welcome you to the Village Green, NBTV's program on the environment. We've had a wonderful rain, the sky is blue and clear, the water is calm, and we have a great program. We are going to spend a lot of time looking at the new Girl Scout headquarters, the Argyros headquarters, and some of the wonderful programs they have. We're also going to be talking to a volunteer who works with birds, with invertebrates. She's into everything and spends a great deal of her time helping all of us prosper in our environment. So, first, let's talk about the Girl Scouts. Well, we're here at the Argyros Girl Scout headquarters, and it is a phenomenal building. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about some of the great things that these Girl Scouts here get out of it. But first of all, let's listen a little bit about how this building came to be. Vikki?
Thank you. So the Argyros Girl Scout Leadership Center was developed when we had the opportunity to build a new building once the old Neva B. Thomas house was torn down to build Marina Park. And when we took ownership of the property and decided to make a plan, we wanted to invest in something that was going to be life-changing for girls. And we chose to build the Girl Scout Leadership Center and focus on programs that wrap STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, through really great interactive programming, which is our Inspire program. So this building from the beginning was built to serve girls, to give them life-changing experiences, and to make lifelong memories.
All right, and we're going to find out a lot more about that. But the building is LEED Silver, and Robyn, I know you do a lot of work with LEED buildings and all sorts of environmental things. What was the process, and what were the things you most focused on?
So with each project, I like to take some time and take in what's really important to the client, and what gets LEED Silver certification or LEED certification on one building doesn't necessarily mean it's sort of a one-size-fits-all. So the things that we really wanted to incorporate into this building were things that you could see and tactile experiences, and again, just things that made sense for the girls to experience, and people and also the visitors to be able to be a part of as well. And so you can see a lot of daylighting, you can see water fixtures, and then we especially decided to incorporate this great innovation credit for interpretive signage, which isn't a standard LEED credit, but it's an innovation credit. So that's when we developed the program and the contest to do the LEED or sustainability signage that you'll see throughout the building.
So what prompted, I mean, it isn't always, at least initially, the cheapest way to go for LEED, and what was the motivation? What really drove you to do this?
So core to the Girl Scout program and sensibility, really part of our DNA is to use resources wisely and make the world a better place. And we are committed. For 106 years, Girl Scouts has really been committed to the environment and to being good stewards of what we have. And so when we had this opportunity, although you're right, it was a little bit more expensive to do, it was so core to the values of Girl Scouting that we made the decision to make the extra expense and to create a building that really lives up to our promise and law of using resources wisely.
So talking about that, I mean, a lot of times the initial expenses is higher, but then you save a lot down the road on energy and everything. I was freezing coming over here, but I feel very warm in here. How is the building heated, and what other energy-saving devices do you have besides the wonderful lighting?
Yeah, so there's a daylighting program, and I won't take over too much of the engineering, but as far as the energy model in there, there's a lot of natural heating and cooling, so there's a great breeze that comes through, especially when you want that breeze in the warmer months. You open the front door and the back door, and a nice breeze comes through here. There's shade control in each of the rooms, so if you want to block out some of the sun, open up the sun, open the windows, you can see all the high windows are operable. We had very, very limited actual mechanical cooling and heating in the building, just because we wanted to take advantage of everything natural that happens in this great climate in Newport Beach here. So a lot of non-automated or non-mechanical things where everybody can control their temperature. And a lot of things, there's always the someone's really hot, someone's really cold kind of scenario. So you can control each of the different spaces individually, which helps make the tenants and the occupants more comfortable in spaces like this.
No, I think we too often think it's got to be very complicated. You say, here you open 2 sets of doors and you've got wonderful air conditioning. Well, let's talk about the users of this wonderful building. Now, are you both from the same troop?
No.
No, okay. So what troop are you from, Ava?
3580.
And that's from Newport Beach or where?
Newport Beach, yes.
Newport Beach, okay. And how long have you been with the Girl Scouts?
I think 5 or 6 years.
Uh-huh. Did you start with the Brownies?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have anything to do with this building? Did you do anything like art or anything? Or did you help sell a lot of cookies to help sponsor it or what?
Well, my sister and I, Scarlett, we were both top sellers this year and, last year and the year before. We each sold 2,500 boxes of cookies or more, and that sponsored this building.
I would say that sponsors a lot of things. That's a lot of cookies to sell.
And also, my sister and I also have our artwork displayed in the building.
Okay, well, we're going to look at some of that. And you, how long have you been with and you're a different troop, right?
Yeah, 3575.
Okay, and how long have you been? The same amount of time? Or?
5 years.
5 years. And what prompted you to get involved?
Well, I thought of how we need to save water and energy, and so I decided, why don't I go into it and just try to save water and energy.
Yeah, well, I think individual actions are really important. So what do you think about the new building?
Well, I think it really shows how Girl Scouts is meant to be in the LEED certification, because there's, like she said, very little mechanical things in here, and it's more of, it saves water and energy also.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are so aware of that, because certainly we have issues with that. Now, tell me about the art. What kind of art is it?
Well, it's art. Our art it represents the buildings. It represents how the building saves water, energy. Like there's recycling, how that like prevents more pollution in the ocean, in the air, more water conservation. Like, because you shouldn't waste water. Because
Absolutely.
California is in a major drought right now.
Right.
And the art basically represents how the building helps our environment.
Well, I can't wait. We're going to see some of this. And then there's also your Inspire program. And I want to go show some of that. But tell us a bit more about that.
Right. So Inspire is the signature program for girls at the Argyros Girl Scout Leadership Center. And it is a multimedia program for every Girl Scout level that addresses two major topics. One is career exploration, so the girls can virtually meet 15 career women and also explore careers that they might be interested in. And also they have a choice to explore take action project planning and project management to look at issues and to see what is the root cause and create a plan to make change. And both programs have a STEM wrapper around them, so girls find out how these career women, be them a cardiologist or a costume designer, use STEM. They may use technology in measuring cloth or different ways that they are using science, technology, engineering, and math in their careers. And we really chose those two areas to help our volunteers because they don't have an opportunity to bring a cardiologist into a troop meeting, but we can do it right here.
Well, can we look at the art?
Yes.
All right, let's do that. All right, we're standing before a piece of art, and it's titled Water Efficiency. And you want to read it and tell me about it?
Yeah, okay, so the Argyros Girl Scout Leadership Center has low-flow fixtures that reduce water flow by over 30% over comparable buildings while working as effectively. Did you know that when you have a faucet or a device that sprays water, you should feel under it to see if there are the little squares? that sucks in air and lets out water at the same time. It reduces water flow by 30%, like I said, but works the same amount as comparable buildings.
Okay, so all we have to do is, and we feel that rough thing, and we know that we're saving water. Excellent. And you have, describe what you were doing. Is this a comparison of the two kinds of water faucets?
Yes. Okay, so on the left you have a gray water faucet, one that is bad and is gushing water. And it's crying and it's sad because there's too much water, as you see in the pipes. And the one on the right is the lead building, is this one. And this one sprinkles water while putting air into it. And so the water droplets are happy now.
Very good. I like that very much. That'd be a good T-shirt, I think. All right, and let's go look at yours. Ava, this is yours, and first of all, read what it says and then explain it.
So it says that the Argyros Girl Scout Leadership Center has secure bicycle storage on site to reduce automobile use and lessen automobile pollution.
Okay, and what made you think of choosing this as a subject?
Well, they did assign topics, and mine was bicycle facilities.
Okay, and describe what you've got here.
So I painted a picture of a girl walking away from a car that is polluting the atmosphere and the ground under it. And she's walking, and of course the sky is cloudy and gray because of the pollution. And she's walking towards the Argyros Girl Scout building with the bicycle in front to show that she would rather not pollute and she prefers sunny skies and she's a real Girl Scout. She wants to help the environment.
She's practicing what she preaches. Well, these are both really neat little messages, and I think both of them would make great posters or T-shirts to get through the message. But I'd also like to look at the other one. We have your Inspire screens. I think that's really interesting.
So this is the Inspire program, and it is the centerpiece of the girl experience here. And in this case, the girls have selected to look at our engineer inventor, and this multimedia experience starts with these large screens. On these screens, the girls will virtually meet the women. They will learn about the career, and then the girls themselves have a tablet, and on their tablet, they will explore careers. They'll be assigned a career, and then they get to discover what kind of skills and talents are needed in those careers. And so it's a really fun, interactive, multimedia experience for girls to explore careers that are traditional in STEM, like this one, but also non-traditional STEM careers as well. Do you want to see some of it?
We'd like to. First of all, I want to ask, though, have you guys utilized this at all?
Once.
You haven't yet. Oh, well, you got something to look forward to then. And you did it once?
I did it once the other day when we were talking about our artwork. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I got to use the iPads and I got to listen to the women talk about their careers.
Was there anything that was really interesting that you heard?
Yeah, they kind of talked about how they had once been Girl Scouts and how it had led them there.
Well, good, good. All right, so yes, go ahead with the program.
Okay, great. Oops. All right, so what the leader does is advance the program in a way that allows the girls to have a really great experience.
Hey girls, welcome to Inspire. I'm your guide, Ray. Today, we're going to look at the world of careers. A career.
So each of the experiences is led by a Girl Scout host, so it's very girl-friendly. And it does take about 2 hours, so we're not going to take that much time. But this girl will then introduce the career women, and then the girls do the activities on the tablet, and it kind of goes back and forth with that process until the end when the girls make their own video, and that's also shown up on the screen. So it's a really great interactive process for the girls.
Oh, that sounds fun. Well, this is very impressive. What impresses me most, though, is the underlying environmental aspect of all this, because you guys, you know, we've done a pretty good job, the people my age, of screwing this world up. We've made lots of bad air and bad water, and you guys are going to have to deal with it. And the fact that you're starting right now to help it is going to make a big difference. So good for you, and good for the Argyros Center for helping all these Girl Scouts and new careers and new ideas. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
We're here at Marina Park with Betsy Flynn. I met Betsy when she was on the advisory board of OCRP, but that was like the umpteenth time that she was volunteering for something. She is into everything that involves the environment, but particularly the Lease Turn Project, the Newport Bay Conservancy, and Crystal Cove.
Right.
And we're going to touch on all three of those today. I'm going to be the easel because she's got a lot of demonstrations, and I'll ask you things, and then you can just hold the microphone and tell
Right.
us a bit about it.
Okay.
All right, so
Sounds
we're going to
good.
start with the Conservancy, the Newport Bay Conservancy.
Yes.
All right, here you go.
Okay.
So what do we have?
This first one is the Newport Bay Conservancy. Well, it's actually the Upper Newport Bay Reserve, and that means that it's down there near Shellmaker Island, and So this part is the actual building there at for the Science Center and for the administrative offices. Okay.
So, Betsy, what do you do for the Conservancy? What are your activities there?
Oh, well, I do out of the Conservancy there. I do a Shellmaker tour once a month.
Tell me about that.
That is where what the people are doing mostly is coming out for the marine life inventory, which is older kids. I think they have to be in high school, and college kids. And what they do is they go out on a boat, and then they get they have a net in the back of it, and they pick up fish and it has weights on it, so it goes down. So they collect in this net all the stuff that they can at the time. They come back. The boat is filled with all these people, up to sometimes about 20, and then they take it and put it in these on the deck, and of the Discovery Science Center down ledger kind of thing, and they identify it. And there's a guy named Dave that is really good at identifying all this, and then they see what they have, and and the kids are all, and the adults too, are all, oohing and ahhing about that kind of thing, and that's great, and so.
So it tells us a bit about what's going on with
Right.
the environment in the bay.
And they keep track of that so they can see when things get less or more or whatever.
So
But
you-
look at the critters that they get. I mean, and this is something they probably got not when they went out on their boat, because these are hard to get, but they got them through some method, and then they keep them for a while, and then they pop them out. This is the inside part where it shows all the different kinds of things for people to see, the old times. And here's Dave down here, putting the thing. That's the boat they go out in.
Okay.
And then here's where they take off from. It goes down, and they put all the things they find are in there, and people can come and see them, actually touch them very gently, and this is a very favorite part of the tour, that kind of
Want me to
thing.
bring this cl-
Okay, you were asking about more things. Here's some educational tours, 2 hours, kayak tours and outrigger tours. They go out of the NAC.
Newport Aquatic Center.
The kayaks belong to actually the Newport Bay Conservancy. They bought those. They were using the ones from the NAC. Okay, so this is exploring it. I do kayak tours and outrigger tours, and on the outrigger tours they have 3 parts of it, and I sit in the middle part and the thing that binds them together and talk about it. And it's a lot of fun because we get business groups in there, and they want their people to mix, to get to know each other, so that they'll do better work and bring in more money,
Team building.
Yeah, right. And so what happens with this is that when we have those people come, they're sort of iffy. Some of them have never been on water and so forth. but we sing row, row, row your boat gently, and they all get with it.
Started. Well, if you're interested, you can go to the Newport Bay Conservancy website.
Right.
You go to info@newportbay.org to find more information on the kayak tours and outrigger tours. I know they're very, very popular, and you might see Betsy.
Right, and the other thing is, here's all the birds, and oops, here are the fishes and the water and shorebirds and so forth. So you can see just how much is out there.
And you will get to see that along
Yeah,
on
right.
the tour.
This is a discovery tour. So this one is when you're doing that kind of thing, you're going out, and this is on the island, actually, where Shellmaker walking tour. A lot of times the kids will come, and then they have younger kids that can't go on it because you have to be 8 years old or something like that. And so we take them on a tour around this is Shellmaker Island.
And what might they see on Shellmaker Island?
Well, actually not as much as I'd like, but because this goes on at the same time that the boat is out catching all the critters, and so they do that at high tide because they have to come back to the shoreline, and it has to do it. But on this one, here are all the dates in January. The reason I didn't put it on the other thing was because they already know in 2019 what are their dates for that.
And is this also the Conservancy?
Yeah.
All right, so again, you can go on the Conservancy website and find out all this information.
Right. So this is the Upper Newport Bay, and it is the reserve. This is the preserve.
And the difference is?
Difference is this is who takes the fall for it if it doesn't work right.
Oh.
I'm an accountant.
All right, so it's gotta add up.
And so this is at the Muth Center. So they all really work together. On the one out there, it shows you all the people that cooperate. When I was starting out, no one was cooperating. Everybody was just trying to make it on their own. But now they have to cooperate because they can't do everything. So here it is. We started down here at the Shellmaker Island, and then if you went up further, you'd end up here at the Peter and Mary Muth Center, which is this building right here. And it's on University, so it's way, way up.
We visited that a number of times.
And then this is just when you go in, you see all these things here. And this takes care of the younger kids. This guy is a volunteer and a painter, painted this picture in the plein air painting. And it sells for $180. So
that's a fun. The plein air painting is a fundraiser that the Conservancy does every year. People come out and they paint the area around the bay and everything, and then you can buy the paintings. And there are usually several of them on display at the Muth Center.
Yes.
So that's if you like plein air painting, and particularly if you like local painting of local sites, that's a great spot.
And this shows what they have for the kids, because over at the reserve, they don't have things for small kids.
So all right, good. And what do we have here? Now this is the Lease Turn project, all right? I know this is something that's very close to your heart.
Yeah.
And so this is actually on the other side of the Santa Ana River, right? It's really not Newport Beach, but it's the birds don't necessarily. They're still impacted by things that happen in Newport.
Right.
So.
And here it is. We hit 700 nests, and that was the most they've had since 2005. So it's,
Do you do a help count the birds, or what?
No, I don't. They have contractors that come in and do that kind of thing. What I do is walk around the preserve, which is about 13. It's about 13 acres, and it's just to keep. We get a lot of surfers and people like that. That here they're carrying their boards, they're rushing down to catch the waves, but they want to know what's going on with the birds.
Oh.
And it's the chain link fence, and it's very difficult to see any nests. So what the people did, this is run by the Wildlife Department of the state of California. So here's where all the nests were. Look at all those.
So when you're walking around, which keeps you fit, obviously, do you find that people are asking you that you get to respond and tell them a little bit about the project?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and if some of them don't ask me, I tell them.
Yeah, I can see that you would do that. And I know there's been some controversy because on the other side, on the Newport Beach side, a lot of people have used that for their dogs to run free.
Right.
And there's been real concern about the impact on the least tern population. And people think that the terns just, well, they're behind the fence, so it's all right. But I guess that isn't quite the case.
Well, it's hard to tell right now, and I haven't had anything. Just from my perspective, people throw the balls into the river, and the dogs come and to get the balls, and sometimes they do come over to the other side. But the thing is, we have 700 nests, and that's more than we ever had. So they can't be too much indisposed by
That's
maybe that's just a layperson.
yeah, but an observation. That's always good to know. All right, and then you also, this isn't enough. She still has a few minutes in her day, and you work with Crystal Cove. What do you do down there? I know they have some wonderful programs at the Conservancy and the State Park.
The tide pools. I don't do any hiking.
I just do the tide pools. Well, tell us about what you do at the tide pool.
Well, the older generation used to be before the environmental onslaught, in quotation marks, used to take out the shells and just throw them against the rocks. And sometimes when you get fathers coming out, they want to show their children how to
throw the rocks.
throw the rocks. And you have to be diplomatic and so forth. And then sometimes people get a little bit upset and they give you the finger.
Well, I do know. It's a hard argument because when I was in high school, to get an A, you got 100 specimens from the tide pools. Oh. So you think of all of us just raping those tide pools. But then part of growing up was putting your finger in the sea anemones. And so, and then to show your children and then your grandchildren. Yeah, that's really not good for them, is it?
No. No, but you can... they do like to because it's sticky. It's got a poison that gets the little fish. And the kids, when they find that out, I want to do that again, and so forth. So it's hard, and you say. Then sometimes what I do is if I see a navel, I'll put my finger in its navel. Gently.
Yes, in fact, this is what we're doing, and think if I were okay.
I like this kind of thing.
I like that. Now, how often are you down at the state park?
Once a month. Oh, this one at Crystal Cove? Once a month.
And you do it at low tide, or does it matter?
Oh, it's always low tide, and it's on Saturdays or Sundays. That's all they do it. Every once in a while, they'll have something when there's not enough low tides during the. Now, this one has.
Let me hold those and you hold the microphone.
Okay. This has volunteer opportunities, and this is for the Conservancy. Now, the Conservancy just facilitates everything, kind of thing. So here is, they have an associate training kind of thing. People like to try out something to see whether it's going to fit. So what they can do is if they're an associate, they have to sit at the desk in the Moose Center for one day, and they have to go through it and see if they like it or if they're going to be okay with it. And if they do that, then they can volunteer for the kayak tours as a sweep. But it's at the end. Right. They can't do anything else but make sure that if you start out with 12 people, you end up with 12 people, kind of thing. And then they have to take first aid and CPR. They can be the sweep. They can work at the front desk as much as they want, but I think they have they like them to do certain hours. They can assist in the classroom, assist in walking tours, and you can learn how you can become a naturalist and decide which one of these areas is good for you. All right.
The Conservancy and things like that.
Right. And I wanted to mention the Sea and Sage Audubon, because they are a big help both at the reserve, mainly at the reserve. They do fish counts and they do bird counts, and they do lots of different kinds of things. They're very facilitative, and they hardly ever get mentioned as, for what they do. And so I wanted to bring that up because this one was for the Back Bay for counting the birds. They go in their boat, they get a boat, people pay the boat people about, I think, $10 or something like that. Then they go and they have about 6 or 7 of these people that are just anal. Anal birders.
So they count everyone.
Right, and they get that. So that's one part of it. And here's the Newport Aquatic Center. That's where the Conservancy has their boats, and they can go out of, but they don't make reservations through the Aquatic Center. They make it through Conservancy. And speaking of that, here's the volunteer information for the California Fish and Wildlife. So there's the Back Bay Science Center, and tells you who to contact and the number for Huntington State Beach, Least Turn Natural Preserve, for the Crystal Cove State Park, the tide pools, and for the Upper Newport Nature Preserve.
Tell me, do you have a favorite activity?
A favorite activity? Getting away from the computer.
And all of these do that.
R and R.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I don't go to the Moose Center, and the reason I don't go is that the kids are too young. And what the favorite part of the thing for me is that I have a box full of heads of different birds with different sized beaks. And so here you get one that has a huge beak like this, and you say to the kids, say maybe you have 15 kids there, and you say, okay, this is a perfect beak for digging in the mud flats. And, they sort of look at your eyes, and then they say, they think you want, they figure out what you want to hear or you don't want to hear. And what I find is that a lot of these kids aren't using up here their sense. Now, why would you put a big, like a pelican beak in the mud? And so when they say, no, but somebody will think that through, won't have that knowledge, won't have memorized it or anything else, but comes through with a right on. And that, to me, is very satisfying because they're using it. And sometimes these kids might be labeled that they weren't that smart, and they are. And you can see some of the others that memorize everything, and they can't do this, and they're shocked.
Well, I think in any activity, certainly you're involved enough, but when you get that spark, whether it's from a child or a grown-up, it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for all the efforts you put in for the least turns and the tide pools and, of course, all of the Upper Bay.
It's my R&R. It's saving me.
Save the Bay, save Betsy. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Nancy, for asking me. I'm glad I had this opportunity.
Yeah, good. If you want to see programs that you may have missed on the Village Green or any of the other NBTV programs, you go to newportbeachca.gov, and the homepage has some big blue boxes, and you scroll those to the left and you'll find NBTV, and you can find all the programs. They're in chronological order, and bring up the things we've done in the past about the city. As for today, well, that's our show, and let's all work on making our village green.